Monday Night Lights, Monday Night Lights, Monday Night Lights. Let's talk about what's been going on at Viking Ice Arena. You've never seen a league so exciting and tough and fast. It simply must be discussed on an equally exciting and tough podcast. What's it called? Monday Night Lights. Yeah. Monday Night Lights. Tigers, the Nordiques, the Whalers, the Seals, the Americans, the North Stars. Who's gonna stall? Who will go far and earn the keg? Who's gonna earn the keg? We'll find out in time. Give us a holler on the whoop line.
No change at the top for the power rankings. North Stars rattle off a fourth straight win, undefeated for the calendar year 2023, but who's counting? Granted, the game was against the lowly Seals, so the win was to be expected, but it was still important for the North Stars to prove to themselves they could win on the Olympic ice. They've been having a lot of success over on the NHL ice. Best part of the night for the North Stars is the hat trick from Brett. Still waiting for that Proctor hat trick lounge write-up. That'll probably come after the power rankings and Dickie Dunn's article, but it's been a slow week in M&L Slack. But Brett has found his scoring touch, 3 goals, scored on a breakaway, scored from a shot, so it's nice to see. It's a big part of the North Star success. Brett and the Brett Serta Busta line have found some chemistry. Trent scored a goal. Simonelli had a nice snipe. And Neville had the highlight goal of the night with an absolute rocket from the point that got deflected by Leroy and inched across the line. It may or may not have gotten to the back of the net, but 7-4 win for the North Stars. Play the Americans next week. Game doesn't really mean anything other than depending on how things shake out, who the opponents are. It does mean something for the Otto Cup. North Stars are 3-0 against the Seals, but 0-2 against the Americans. Definitely would like to beat Ty at something, but there's probably a 50% chance or maybe greater that the Americans and North Stars play each other next week and then also in the first round of the wild card. But North Stars checking in at number 2. Checking in at number 2, we have the Americans. Also red hot. I believe this makes a 3-game winning streak for the Americans and an absolute thrashing of the Nordiques. This was not a throwaway game for the Nordiques. The Nordiques are trying to secure a first-round bye, and they needed this game, and they did not get it. So the Americans won 5-0. They won 3-1 the week before, and then 6-1 over the Maroons. So 3-game win streaks for the Americans. Proctor scored a couple goals. Goom squad remains red hot, scoring a couple goals. Scoring a goal, but I think he scored something about like 5 goals in the last 6 games or something. Ty was important to send me that text to remind me about Goom squad. I think Myers got in on the action. Heard that old man Johnny Ite was put in shutdown Slick Rick mode and took an old Trent horsey ride for about 20 seconds and may or may not have gotten a penalty. But the Americans have really found their swagger here. They're getting scoring from, not just Proctor, not just coast-to-coast Rubel, but it looks like I think Myers got in on the act and scored a goal. So very good win for the Americans, one of the hotter teams in M&L. Similar to the North Stars and the Tigers, they're just kind of locked into their playoff seeding, no chance at the bye, so they're just waiting to see who they play in that wild card round, and they are not going to be a team that anybody wants to face with, former league darling Paul Proctor and the best goalie currently in Johnny G. So the Americans are number 2 in the power rankings, probably the hottest team in MNL right now, if not for the North Stars 4-game win streak. mentioned North Stars again there, Pete, in someone else's power rankings. But number 2, Americans. All right. Checking in at number 3 and a departure from the instant power rankings, we have the Maroons at number 3. I guess in my memory, I thought that the Tigers were on a winning streak, but I had forgotten about that game that I actually reffed, the highly chippy game. So Maroons checking in number 3 above the Tigers. After their 2-1 win over the Tigers, the Maroons beat the Whalers, still number 1 in the standings, Whalers, but really struggling Whalers. The Whalers are now have losers of 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row for the Whalers. But let's not take away from the Maroons here. The Maroons jumped out to a 2-0 lead. Looked like they were just going to kind of coast to victory. Whalers made an impressive comeback, rattling off 3 straight goals to take a 3-2 lead in the second period. And I was like, wow, the Whalers have refound their mojo. I was already writing the storyline. Then Shepard, of all people, took an out-of-characteristic penalty, punching innocent J-Flow in the crease. I was happy to hear that this Shepard, I shouldn't say punching, but it was kind of like a aggressive face wash. But it was a penalty, and the Whalers had a 3-2 lead, all the momentum, and a power play. And it was all looking good for the Whalers, but Sugar was a one-man penalty kill. I think he stole the puck, went in on like a 1-on-3, and somehow got a shot off and scored, made it 3-3, and that just killed all the Whalers' momentum. And then the Maroons just came out and dominated the third period. I think Crusoe got a goal. Judge came in coast to coast, and then it was, 6-3 before we knew it. The only drama left in the game was the Maki bet. The Maroons were, once they knew that it was over in the last 30 seconds, they were basically inviting Big Cat to score a goal, but thankfully he did get one shot off, and Pangrazi very well, I thought for sure was just going to let it in on purpose, but he made the nice save. Then he had several chances, but this is about the Maroons, and the Maroons won 6-3. Maroons are looking good. Maroons play the Nordiques. The game has been flexed to 10 p.m. for prime time. The Maroons need to win in regulation to get the bye. But if they do that, they would get the second and very valuable bye. Anything other than a regulation win that will drop them in the standings and to, I believe, the 3 seed. And then they would play the number 6 seed, Tigers or North Stars in the first round. So lots on the line for the Maroons, but they are playing very well right now, and I think that they're probably favored to beat the Nordiques next week. So put that chip on your shoulder, Pangrazi. Number 4, we have the Tigers on a bye week. A lot of representation from the Tigers. Peso was reffing. Skillman subbed. Ryan Allen subbed. Pellet subbed 2 games. And I don't know if there's anyone else out there, but I'm probably missing somebody. But a good night for the Tigers. The Tigers have been pretty hot after the trade. I forgot about their narrow 2-1 loss in a playoff atmosphere game, but Tigers are legit. Tigers play the Seals next week. I'm assuming the Tigers want to win that game to get out of the 6th spot, but who knows? It's really hard to pick who you want to play in that first round matchup. But the Tigers have one more game left. They play the Golden Seals. Depending on the outcome of the North Stars and Americans game, the Tigers can jump up to Tigers. Yeah, they can't catch the Americans. So the Tigers would be either the 5th seed or the 6th seed, depending on the outcome of the Seals game. Number 5, we have the Nordiques. And in a complete 180, I can't even believe, these words are coming out of my mouth. If you would have told me this a month or 2 ago, I would have been like, get the fuck out of here. But in a crazy twist of events, the Nordiques are now, when Dave P shows up, they win. When Dave P doesn't show up, they lose. So shocking, I know, but the suspension of Dave P. Really threw the Nordiques off their game, getting trounced 5-0. I was playing at the time, so I didn't get to watch a lot of this game. I did hear that John G. played spectacular, so maybe the game flow was, closer than a 5-0 score, but 5-0 is 5-0. A troubling trend for the Nordiques, when if Slick Rick isn't there to, do it all, who can pick up the slack. So that's been the story of the Nordiques season. Very successful season, I might add, but they are now sitting in second place with 31 points, but the Maroons have 29. So it comes down to all the marbles, 10 p.m. All the Nordiques need to do is get a regulation tie, and that will clinch the bye for them. Very important bye. If they lose, that puts them in the 3 position where they would face either the North Stars or the Tigers in round 1. So lots to play for the Nordiques. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see what kind of game plan they come up with. We'll see who shows up. Subs will always play a large role. Pangrazi, I gave him a chip on the shoulder by predicting that the Maroons would win. So I'm doing my part to help out the Nordiques, and we will see what happens. I just did a 3-minute power ranking, and then the microphone didn't work. Ugh, very frustrating. The pitfalls of audio power rankings. But number 6, we have the Whalers. I really wanted to put the Whalers at number 7, but I just can't. The Seals haven't won a game since December. So the Seals' ineptitude keeps the Whalers at number 6. Whalers have really had an epic collapse. Normally, the Dickie Dunn Award is given to an individual. The Whalers are making a case to win the team award. They've lost 4 in a row. They have gone from unbeatable to really struggling to get a win. So we'll see. It would be a pretty... despite all that, they're still going to finish in first. They're still going to get a first-round bye. They can still win the keg and laugh all the way to the bank. But they could also, if they get eliminated, I think it'll go down as one of the bigger kind of flops in MNL history. So we'll see if the Goose and Sikorsky can get it together. As far as the game, I covered that in the Maroons. They did show a lot of fight, rattled off 3 in a row. Chad scored, J-Flo scored. I don't know who got the other one, but they definitely showed some fight, thought that they were going to win it, but then couldn't hold on. The big news was Maki was unable to score a goal despite taking a 5-minute shift to end the game. So that bet is done. Drake Braun, being a man of character, has already paid his bet to me and Dougie. So as the saying goes, a Lannister or a Braun always pays their debts. There is one more outstanding bet out there between me and the Goose. I've never been to Clausen Steakhouse, despite driving past it about 1,000 times. So I've always wanted to go. So there is a playoff last longer bet between me and the Goose. Whichever team advances farther in the playoffs is the recipient of a steak dinner from the other. Obviously, if the North Stars lose in the wild card round, the Whalers Dylan will win that bet. If both parties lose in the same round, the bet is a push. And if one advances farther than the other, or if they meet in the finals, the winner of the keg would win the bet. So we still have that one out there. But the Whalers are definitely struggling. Maybe Joe Ellis will make a Willis Reed-like return for the playoffs. Could be interesting. Who knows? But the Whalers right now, number 6. Checking in at number 7 are the Seals, literally just playing out the string here. They're still a fun team to skate against. Shawnee and Rattler, nice little duo. They did lots of nice things. Got some scrappy goals, banged it in. Second line was Pellet. I don't know what they did. They did Pellet, Sips, and Whoop, I believe. Moved Antioch back to the blue line, I think. But just, gave up too many goals. Not able to score enough goals. So just another loss for the Seals. They have already turned their page to next season in the Ivory Tower, trying to negotiate some draft stock changes. getting some pushback on that is most people think that it wasn't necessarily the draft positions, but more the draft day trade that kind of set the Seals up for failure this year. But not much else to say about the Seals. Seals do play the Tigers next week, have a chance to, if they win, that would keep the Tigers in the 6th spot. So a little bit of, spoiler role left, but not a ton for the Seals. I do give the Seals credit, continuing to have pretty darn good attendance for a team that has nothing to play for. So the league does appreciate that. Seals have been a model franchise for many, many years. Still the only 2-time keg winner, but this year is just a stinker. Nothing else to say about it.